I remind them, stop caring about certain things. And that upsets people. They're like, it doesn't work that way. Yes, it does work that way. It absolutely works that way. I mean, I'm someone who's suffered from depression in the past. I have suffered from PTSD, and I'm not going to get into that because people don't, they seem to confuse that with something else. I protect them, protect their children, things like that. They all get that impression, everyone who knows me. However, I do have that intimidation factor, and I do come across, especially a lot of other guys, as very intimidating. I have a presence when I come in a room, and that's been told to me by quite a few people, that I'm a very intimidating person, and I'm very scary in some ways, and I have to try to keep that reeled in, and that has to do with my upbringing and my training, because I'm such a sensitive person. My dad really went out of his way for me to not be a big floppy pussy, because, and he still sees me that way, which is really kind of funny, but my dad is really probably the scariest person I know. And without going into his full life story, my dad was a Green Beret at Vietnam. He later worked for, and I'm not going to say what agency, he later worked for the intelligence community. This is stuff that people can pull up on background checks, and people have done background checks on my dad related because of all the lawsuits and shit I've been through. And then my dad is worked in upper management for Cameron International, and he now owns his own company in the hydrogen and natural gas industry. My father is, again, because of his special forces training and later his work in the intelligence community, my dad is a very interesting person, and he really went through a lot of trouble to make me tougher and harder, and for me to basically be a killer. That he went through a lot of efforts to try to do that for me, which again, my father being who he was, it led to some interesting career opportunities later in life. But because of those life experiences, in a way, I'm really a damaged person in a lot of ways. And yes, I did crack under the PTSD from some of the work I did later, which again, I can't discuss with you guys. I got to see some interesting things in life, but if I talk about it, I'll spend the rest of my life in prison. But it gave me an interesting perspective on life. And yeah, I'm a very damaged person as a result of that. I don't hold human life in the same value that a lot of people do. It doesn't have a whole lot of meaning to me. And a lot of people kind of get that impression. Who meet me, particularly veterans and things, definitely pick up my 1,000-yard stare and stuff. So I have that certain intimidation, and even though I'm really a big softie when it comes down to it. But yeah, I do have this very scary, intimidating streak to me that comes out, and some of it has to do with my perspective, my actual life perspective when it comes to dealing with people who I see as any sort of threat to me or anyone I care about is pretty extreme by most standards. And yeah, people pick up on that. And so certain people, even just private conversations I've had with them, probably think I'm a little crazy, a little bit scary. I have suffered from PTSD, and I'm not going to get into that because people don't, they seem to confuse that with something else.